It's a very exciting new episode of Sister Sister right here on City TV and as well live on City FM. My name is AJ Sarpong. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the only show that allows you get all the clarity you need in whatever it is that you may be going through. We're coming to you live from Orca Deco, and a very big thank you to the Ghana AIDS Commission, the Red Ribbon Campaign, who are proud supporters of Sister Sister. Today is going to be like none other, another exciting edition where I get to sit down with some of the most incredible group of women you will ever meet, who I'm pleased to call my sisters, and go through some of the most interesting stories sent to you by you who want some clarity on that issue that you need. And we're more than happy to give that right here on the show. So stay with us for the next hour as we go through what will be a very exciting number of conversations right here on Sister Sister. It's going to be a very exciting one. You're tuned in to Sister Sister right here on City TV and as well live on City FM. My name is AJ Sarpong, and of course it's going to be a very exciting edition of the show, inviting you to get interactive with us. Of course, the hashtag is Sister Sister, and as well get interactive with us via our WhatsApp numbers, and as well send in your messages on Facebook or on Twitter. I'll be more than happy to read it. So in case you don't know what Sister Sister is, basically, if you've ever had any issues that you've always wanted clarity on, think of Sister Sister as a no judgment zone where you can send in whatever it is that ails you. And me and my incredible set of ladies, we call them the sisters, will help you get the clarity that you so desire in whatever situation that you might be going through. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome this awesome set of women. I will start with my extreme left. She is always so incredible, and her smile lights up every single room that she enters. She is beautiful through and through, and I'm so happy to have her on the couch. The beautiful Olivia. Hi. Looking great in blue and flowery prints and everything else.
Thank you so much.
How have you been?
I've been awesome.
Okay.
I'm excited, looking forward to the weekend.
Yay!
Yes.
It's the weekend. It's the weekend. It's the weekend.
I get to utilize it as much as I can.
Oh.
But besides that, I'm good. Babies and everybody are doing great.
That leaves a lot to be pondered on.
It's about time.
And it gives me great pleasure to welcome this other lovely lady. When you look up the term badass, like, she will be there. She's the kind of woman that can get anything and everything she wants done. She is gorgeous in and out, and she is going to be giving a piece of her mind on the show. The very beautiful Rosie. Hi, Rosie.
I'm fine.
You look gorgeous, by the way.
Thank you.
Everything. It's going on all the time. Come on. Yeah. And she is flowery through and through. Literally, her name is part of a rose, Marie Rose, and she is here in all her elements. Like, you look beautiful first and foremost, and you are always, when there's a regal sense. You see someone else sits and she sees regal, you can't mess with her. Hi, Marie Rose, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you too?
I'm very well, thank you. Ladies, are you ready?
Yes.
For what will be a very interesting story. And let's get straight into it. Of course, you can get interactive again with the hashtag Sister Sister. And as well, let us know your thoughts on this particular story. And if you have anything similar, you know what to do. Send it to us. I'll be more than happy to analyze it next time on the show. Let's get into our very first story, and the title is Borga Marriage. Take a listen. Hi, AJ. I want to bring awareness to people that may be going through this. I just ended my 7-year marriage with my now ex-husband. The divorce certificate came out the day after our anniversary. My ex-husband met me during my vacation in the UK in 2014. I was 28 and he was 42. He fell in love with me and asked me for my hand in marriage after we'd been friends for a while. We got married in 2015 once our families confirmed with those close to us that we weren't dating any other people, and we began our marriage while we both lived in different countries. It wasn't love for me in the beginning, but the fact that he was older and I felt he had seen it all and wanted to settle, and there was some kind of security. He wasn't a young guy who would hurt me. I believed I would grow to love him in our marriage. 3 months into our marriage, he came from the UK to visit for 10 days. This is a man whom I trusted so much that even if I was told he was cheating, I would run and tell him, and he would convince me there was nothing as such. Back to his visit. I had never eavesdropped on his conversations until one night. He was on a call in the living room around 11:30 and I was in the bedroom when I heard, "I love you too," which caught my attention. I drew a bit closer to listen, and there was a lady in the UK he was busily chatting with, and I saw his hands in his pockets, pressing on his balls. Then I snatched his phone and queried the lady. She screamed out my name and said in local language, "Sir, Woody Agrobedu." I was shocked she knew me. Then he took his phone back and apologized to the lady. So I called to complain to my pastor, who had then traveled to the US, and he said he would deal with the issue upon his return. The next day after the confrontation, I knew my ex would call the lady again. So I put my phone on flight mode on record and put it on a charge near his seat. Then I left home. He asked me how long I'll be gone, and I replied, an hour. While I listened to the recording, he called the woman 10 minutes after I had left. He kept apologizing and reassuring her with the words, "I love you more than her. She used juju on me. And that's why I cannot love you fully. When she's naked, she doesn't attract me as you do. When I have sex with her, I cannot go the second round as I do with you. She's a bitter person because she doesn't get much love from me as you do. The marriage was a mistake, so leave your husband, and I'm in the process of leaving her so the two of us can be together." That's when I knew she was a married woman. I could only hear my husband's voice and not her responses, and I was curious as to what the woman said that merited such a response. I kept the recordings to myself and didn't utter a word to him. One night while he slept, I grabbed his phone to see any information I could get about the woman. I viewed their WhatsApp messages and saw nude pictures and videos of this lady wearing her wedding band and fingering herself. In another video, she was showing her pregnant belly and announced the baby was his. As I looked through their messages, I realized that her husband also lived in Ghana as well. So when he returns to Ghana, the lady and my husband lived together as a couple. All this while, my pastor still hadn't returned. So I took it upon myself and left the house. I didn't want the marriage anymore. He begged his family and he prayed and he asked some pastors to intervene. And then the final conclusion was that the distance between us was causing him to cheat. So she's saying her story to sort of give people a bit of a heads up that certain things may not be as rosy as it seems, pun intended. But ladies, let me get your opinion on this, and I'll start with you, Olivia. Her expressing her deep regrets about going into a marriage and now being, years later, having been served her divorce papers and describing this whole scenario to her. Do you think, as she ended with, that distance may have played a part in this marriage breaking down?
Yes and no. I'm more shifted towards the no, because if you love somebody and you respect them, you shouldn't use distance as an excuse to cheat. Because bottom line of every relationship is trust, fidelity, love, communication, and one last thing, money. So he had no right to do what he did. He shouldn't be using it as an excuse. What beats my imagination is she went through all the stress, right, to get hold of that information. Had she not eavesdropped, she would never have known that this guy was doing this to her. And to add insult to injury, she caught him. He was holding onto his assets, and he had no ounce of regret, no ounce of, he wasn't even sorry.
No.
He rather picked up the phone from the floor
To apologize to her.
and apologized to the other lady. And for me, that is disrespect.
Yes.
And still conversations going back and forth, and he had the effrontery to also say that, he doesn't find her attractive enough, yada, 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 brought her down. So my question is, why in heaven's name is he now calling pastors to beg? Is he now saying he wants the marriage? Because he's gotten somebody else pregnant. The marriage bed shall not be defiled. And he's blatantly done that. So I'm wondering, why is he in the marriage with you? Then again, some men will do anything and sweet talk other women into sleeping with them and having extramarital affairs. But bottom line, if you love somebody, you do not do things like this to them. And for me, I honestly, God does not hate the divorcee, but he hates divorce. And in a clear case like this, for me, I think that there's so many red flags here. Thankfully, you don't have any children with him. And you took the right decision and you decided to serve him the divorce papers. He was crying for it. He wanted it. He was on the phone telling this other woman he cannot wait for you to divorce him. So you've served him divorce papers. So my question is, what's your biggie? So going back to what I was saying about the fact that distance could play some role. Having said that, I can understand if, you miss your wife, she's so far away, and maybe somebody came around and you got carried away and you're just having a chat, and maybe emotionally you sort of disconnected because there was somebody there.
They are living together in the UK.
Exactly, but not sexually, not to that extent. The reason why I say that is because I'm coming from a family whereby my mom and my dad had that distance. She was here and he was there. And so one thing led to the other, and he also cheated on my mom. Today, he married this other woman, and well, he's dead and everything. But having said that, the distance played a vital role in breaking my mom and dad apart. Then again, it all depends on the individual, and if you love somebody enough, you would not do that to them.
Absolutely.
You can't convince me whatsoever. I mean, I took some time off. Like, I had to travel and my husband had to be on his own. You can't convince me that, okay, because we were apart for the longest time, I should go out cheating, or he should also go out cheating. You should understand what the vows meant to you the day that you said, I do, to your partner. It's not a matter of investing into a ceremony. Marriage is big deal, and I'm so happy for you. Don't have any regrets. Don't look back. You've divorced him, done, dusted. Have your life, and don't give up on love.
Absolutely. Now let me come to Rosie. The man is in the UK. His girlfriend, is in the UK. She has a husband here. He has a wife here. It's a messy situation. Your thoughts about it?
Olivia has addressed quite a bit.
Yes.
All I'll say is that the distance played a role in the beginning because it didn't give them enough time to even know each other, to even know whether they liked each other before making the decision. Number two, why would she think that because he was about 40, he was ideal to be a husband? You see, the very foundation of the marriage, the reason why they got together was flawed
wrong.
from the beginning. It's like you think that, oh, it's only little
boys that can break
can break hearts. Hello. Trust me, they are grown-up men who even break hearts after they are dead. When their wives found out that they have like 5, 6 babies after their funeral, and they are showing up, after funeral rites, wanting a part of the cake. Exactly. So old age does not guarantee security. That is one. So you don't know yourselves. That's where the distance played in. So you didn't know who you were going to get married to. You just popped in because he looked okay on paper. He looked all right, and he was about 40-something. And you were able to trust him enough that you said that even if someone had told you that he was cheating, you could come back to him, and no matter what he said, you would believe him about that person. You see, when you trust people completely, they know. They're able to tell. And let me go to the very tail end. That is why he is begging to still be with her. Because he knows that, look, she found this out in the first year of their marriage. They are breaking up after 7 years.
Yeah.
So he knows that this is one woman who can take a lot, quote unquote, my BS.
Yeah.
You understand? So he's taking a piss and he's just, going along with it. You understand? And for the whole mess, look, that man and that other woman who make a life in the UK, they're actually two peas in a pot. They are alike.
Yes.
Both of them are just selfish people who are with very good husbands or very good spouses that they both don't deserve. and then they are excited about being naughty with each other, playing with each other. As for the voice recording that he recorded, look, listen, men will tell another woman anything so long as they're in their pants.
Yeah.
The fact that she wasn't, let's say he wasn't aware that the lady was recording was the reason why he said all those things to that extent. It is wrong on all levels, because whether in front of me or behind me, you need to show me that respect.
Absolutely.
You need to show me that love, that trust. You know, that I'm your wife. You need to show me that respect. You understand? But my take is that when she found out that the man was cheating, for me, that's the part that really hurt me the most. When he collected the phone from her to apologize to the other woman,
and not his wife.
for me, that worried me more than the conversation that
Ensued afterwards.
that quote unquote you were not supposed to have heard that you heard. Because that means that not only had he disrespected you, but right in front of the other person.
He has no regard for you.
He has absolutely no regard for you, and he's talking to the other person, rather apologizing to the other person, treating the other person right. Then there's a big problem.
Absolutely.
There's a huge problem that needs to be
Absolutely.
addressed.
Absolutely.
And like Olivia said, there are no kids. There's nothing tying. You already cry. He's away. So most of the time, cry maybe in a year. Tentatively, your marriage is like 1 month in a year, because you get to born like 1 month in a year. So people are not going to question whether you are married or not before they even see that you are divorced, right? It's
Yeah.
like 2-3 years. So you don't have to even deal with the stigma of being divorced as it is. So I would think that this is definitely not for you. The marriage, from the onset, it was too young to go through this kind of trauma. And you have gone through for 7 years, and I believe it's still going on, because men who are like that,
Will never
it's
stop.
very difficult for them to change, because
Yeah.
habits are formed over time. Maybe if he was 20, maybe at 25, 26, he grew up and be mature. But he's grown up with it. So he's not like 40 plus. My dear, he ain't changing now. He ain't changing ever.
Ever.
So it's a decision you have to make. And luckily, you've been bold enough to make the right decision, so stick to it.
Preach it. Preach it. Marie Rose. Now, your entire opinion about this particular story, is it a situation of distance? Is the man someone who is absolutely inconsiderate? Is it a situation where she left at the right point, or she probably shouldn't have married him in the first place?
It's a big question, because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, one lecturer of mine who used to define marriage as marriage is for two mature people. It's not about age, it's maturity. Somebody can be Methuselah, 1,000 years, and might not be mature.
Absolutely.
The person must be mature. Two mature people who come together, and then you decide to have a life or become one item. And so, like Rosie said, it was a mistake in the first place for her to have thought that, oh, this is a 42-year-old man, so he is mature. He is not. Number two, I also think that as much as divorce is not something God likes, but sometimes it has to happen. Looking at this marriage, God himself, when he created, when we look in the Holy Scriptures, we see that God himself, when he created man, he was alone. But he said it was not good for man to be alone. That is the reason why he made him a helpmate. So a helpmate was supposed to be around him or to be with him. Sometimes circumstances beyond our control compels married couples to be apart from time to time. But then I think that when she met him at the age of 28, and he was in UK, and she decided that she was going to go along because the guy was in love with her. Of course, the Bible says that the man should love. So he was in love with her, and she thought that she would love later and all that kind of thing. But if you look at this whole thing, was it an agreement that they were going to marry for her to stay here for 7 years before she joins him? What kind of marriage would that be? That is not a marriage, like she said. They will be together, their marriage in a year maybe will be 1 month or whatever. So usually when somebody is out there and he wants to come and marry, then it means that the person is really in a good stead over there who can easily come and take you. And even when you look at immigration papers, most immigration papers consider spousal immigration stuff. So whenever it is an immediate family, they'll process your papers very fast for you because they see the need and importance of family being together. Family is supposed to be together, not apart. So you've married 7 years, you are apart. And I don't know how often the man comes around and there's no mention of children. Probably that's the reason why you still don't even had children, because you don't even get to see the person.
Absolutely.
So yes, on paper you are married, but in real sense, I don't think it was even a real marriage. It's happened to so many people who've been married and they've stayed here for many, many years, and the man never comes, or after about 20 years, he'll tell you, okay, find another person and marry. We have stories like that. It's unfortunate. So, yes, it's good that she's been able to define what is good for her. She's moved on. She's not a bad person. It's a situation. It was a bad situation. She's been able to address it early. I think for 7 years to her age, it will be what, 35 years. She still has some time, and she can still go on with her life. So as unpleasant as it sounds, I think she's just done the right thing for her, because of course she was not really even in love with her, and I don't know, she didn't even mention anything whether the love grew or whatever. So it's a very unfortunate situation. Sometimes people find themselves in situations like that, or tia broche, because the guy is in abroad, or the guy is not. Yes, it's not only the age, because the person is abroad, so you say yes, and hoping that, please, if you want to get into marriage, make sure you are getting somebody that you love, that he loves you, that both of you can make sacrifices. If all these things were well spelled out and you really got to know yourself, well, he won't sit out there having fun with another woman. And like it was rightly said earlier by my two sisters, that he even had the impudence to apologize to the other woman who is not the wife. It is not acceptable in any way.
Absolutely.
Because if anything, he should have gone on his knees and begged you or apologized to you, because you are the one that he has offended. You are the one everybody knows that you are legally married to him. He owes you that allegiance. He owes you that love. He owes you every respect. You know, so for him to go out there apologizing to the other lady, it doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely.
You know, so I think, yeah, she should just go on with her life and enjoy her life, and I pray that God will open a door and give her a man she so deserves.
Amen.
A man who loves her.
That.
Yes.
Amen.
To enjoy a proper marriage life. Yes.
Well, dear lady, you did the right thing, according to my sisters, and I totally believe in that. You did the right thing. You cut your losses. You've moved on, and a better one will come your way. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, going into our next story from our very interesting listener. You're tuned in to Sister right here on City TV, and as well welcoming our listeners live on City FM. Of course, you can get interactive with us with the hashtag Sister, and of course, as well, whether you're tuned in via our Facebook Live, whether you're sending in a message via Twitter, or as well you're sending in via the WhatsApp number, please get interactive as well. Now we're moving on to our next story, and it is a very interesting one. Hello, sisters. I love my wife with my life, and I'm very afraid of losing her. But I have lied to her for years, from the beginning of our relationship till date, in fact. I feel very embarrassed about our relationship. I feel very embarrassed about what I'm going to say, but I think this is a time to do this. My name is Pakwesi, and I've been best friends with Peter for more than 30 years. Peter, who I refer to as my cousin, is like a son to my parents and vice versa. Our families know each other, and there's no malice in our friendship. When we were in the same room in the university, slept in the same room when we came home, and we did practically everything together. It was at the university that we realized the strong feelings we had for each other. Although I was a little bit attracted to women, Peter is only attracted to me. He will jokingly make comments like, Pakwesi is mine, and I will not share him with any other person. People laughed at his jokes because they thought he was just being funny, but I knew he was serious about it and meant every word he uttered. I met my wife when I was in level 400 at the University of Ghana, and oh my word, she blew me away with her beauty and intelligence. She's such a breath of fresh air, stunning, elegant, caring, lovely, and as well possessed a heart of gold. We not only got along immediately after our paths crossed, I never forgotten how close we became and how our beautiful journey started. I remember how Peter reacted and the anger he displays as I narrated how captivating meeting Trisha was. I assured him nothing can come between us and that we'll be fine. Sisters, the aura around Trisha is magical. Words cannot explain it. I fell in love with her, and that is something I haven't felt for any woman before or since. I found that feeling intriguing, and for a funny reason, I loved it. Fast forward, my attention drifted from Peter to Trisha, my wife. And although I didn't notice how much or how in love I was, I simply enjoyed it. I got intimate with Peter, but not as regularly as he used to be. He complained now and exhibited jealous traits around my wife, and I have a feeling she's suspecting me. Last weekend, Peter came to spend the weekend at ours, and my wife went to the market to shop for the house. Peter and I started getting touchy and all, forgetting the space we were in. I was entering the kitchen when he spanked my ass, and immediately my wife entered. I wasn't sure whether she saw that or not. Now I'm confused. Should I come clean and tell her about who I really am and who Peter truly is to me? Should I tell her I am honestly bisexual? What if I lose her in the process? I really love my wife. What will our families think? I need help, sisters. Advise me. Gang, gang. He is in love with two people. One, his best friend of 30 years, and the other, his wife, who he cannot live without. Is it a good idea to confess to his wife that he's truly bisexual? Because at this point that he's getting to, he feels Peter might be able to, cause some ruckus in the house. I will start with Rosie. Your thoughts on this particular story?
I hardly get dumbfounded, really. This is
To say or not to say?
That's the question, because you see, once you see, certain secrets are not allowed in marriage, because whether you like it or not, it would always find a way of coming out.
Yes.
And if you say it yourself, sometimes you're able to manage the communication, you're able to manage the outcomes, you're able to have enough time to apologize, prep yourself, and have that difficult conversation, But when it has to come out, maybe seen, heard from somewhere or somebody, because in as much as you think you've been careful, don't think that certain people have not suspected. All it takes is for somebody to pass a comment, hey, this Pakwesi and Peter there, me cry, even thought they were doing something, so then it kind of like
it
triggers
everything into
certain little
perspective.
things that you see happening, and then the next thing you know, she even starts suspecting and starts looking for information, which she will find, because we women know how to find information when we want to find it.
Absolutely.
And then at that point, you might not be able to manage it. However, what I want to say is that when you want to come clean with her, then you must be ready to cut ties with Peter. Because it's enough to have a rival who is another woman. Everybody can understand why the person is your rival.
Yeah.
But it's a whole different ball game
When the rival is a
to
man.
have a rival who is a man that you've been living with. He was probably his best man.
You
He was
assume
probably
it's your brother-in-law,
Charlie,
basically.
Peter was probably his best man.
Yeah.
And anytime he goes like, oh, Charlie, I'm going to see Peter in a bit. I'll be back.
Yeah,
like,
right.
okay, go. You don't even check up on him. You don't call, no ill
Because
feelings,
I know,
nothing.
yeah, Peter,
and then all of a sudden you're thinking, all these years, Pakwesi Peter, PMP, what's happening? PKMP, what's happening?
PMP magazine.
So you just start thinking she's gonna start having flashbacks of all the moments, the little things that she saw that she didn't think were a big deal then will now be a big deal. So she's gonna ask herself, have I been sharing the bed with someone who is bisexual? Now the other question is gonna come. Who is the man and who is the woman in this bisexual thing? Then all these issues, if she's somebody who's been prone to, let's say, STDs or STIs, she's going to be asking herself questions. So in terms of infections, do I need to get checked? Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? So many questions are going to go through her mind. And she's going to go through all this. However, you see, when marriage is based on true love, like he's explaining it, I'm thinking that whatever they shared was unique. So what I'll say is that maybe Pakwesi per se is not necessarily bisexual.
Yeah.
He is just emotionally attached and connected to Peter.
Okay.
However, Peter is gay. That's my thoughts.
Conclusion.
Yes, but Pakwesi is just that he's in love with the fact that he has somebody who understands him, who did everything with him. But when he met that right person,
His soul clicked with her.
his focus switch pumped like that. He didn't have to think about it.
Yeah.
He didn't have to deliberate on it. He didn't have to make a choice. He just
knew.
went. He just zoned into it. So I think that there's something there. Just maybe if he comes out with the truth enough, manages the communication properly. Pray
Just
on
maybe.
it. Pray on it. Just maybe.
She might not leave it.
Just maybe she might not leave you. However, it means that there is a price you continue to pay for the entire marriage. But when a woman catches you like this, that's like a forever trump card. But anything she wants, she needs to get it. And maybe that's a price you need to pay to have your woman.
Okay.
And most definitely, she wouldn't want Peter in your life.
All righty. Let me come to Marie Rose. Your thoughts about this story?
I've been smiling all through. I think, well, I know such things exist, but I haven't really
Encountered or heard it?
one.
Yeah. In
For
such
me
graphic
even
detail.
Yes, to even begin to think about it. But for me, I'll talk about the management of this whole thing. Yeah, because like Rosie said, there's so much at play here. You are going to talk about it to your wife. I think he has to.
Yeah.
He has to come clean. It's about time. 30 years, they might have children.
Yeah.
He has to come clean because the more he keeps it, the more it will hurt her when she finds out, which she will find out sometime. Whatever,
Not too
whether
worried
in his lifetime or
In the next.
but whatever, she will find out. So the earlier he thinks about coming clean, the better. But he has to think about how to manage this situation. Like she rightly said, first thing is that he has to be prepared to, how do you call it, go for help. Because he can't do it all by himself. He needs help to go through this.
Yeah.
And the two of them, because they have to be able to do it with a mediator. He can't just do it all by himself.
Absolutely.
This is a big thing. They will both need counseling to be able to get themselves going, even if the woman decides to stay on. If she decides not to stay on, it's another thing. They'll also need counseling for her to move because she'll feel violated.
Of course.
That you have lived with somebody you thought was a man or is supposed to be a man and maybe he's something
had
else. And like you said, infections and all those kind of things, you begin to think which is psychologically unhealthy. So I think that they'll both need to, he has to psych himself that he has to be ready to go for counseling and then spill the beans.
Okay.
And then be ready to cut off Peter from his life.
Away.
Yes, he has to cut him off. He has to cut him off because he hasn't been a good friend, a good brother, a good cousin, whatever. I've heard a story my nephew once told me that in school, boys' school, he went to a boys' school, but there was a boy in the secondary school, high school in Ghana here. That boy had become gay as a result of cousins. I'm using this platform to caution parents that we should be very careful. His cousin came from London or somewhere for vacation, and then he had to share his room. The mother made him share his room with this cousin, and the boy introduced him, and he became hooked. Came to school and started introducing other people's children into it. We have to be careful about these relatives. And most of the time, people who violate us are people we know. They are not strangers. A few strangers, but majority of them are our own people, our siblings, our uncles, our fathers, our family friends, people we are familiar with. So we don't get scared. They come in with a nice face and then they come to hurt us. So please, he has to think about cutting ties. Even before he goes on to go and talk about it, he has to cut the ties
Immediately.
Immediately.
Time to go.
Whatever that Peter feels, it is his business. He should go and deal with himself. Once he was able to fall in love with his wife, then it means that he is there for her. He has to make sure that he does the right things. And then tell the woman, make sure you get other people in to help. If you are prepared to stay on with her, you don't want to lose her, he has to get other people to intervene to help her manage this effectively.
I love that.
And save the woman a heartbreak, the trauma. the pain that can, be etched on her mind and psychologically hurt her for a long time. It is a very serious situation. And if they have children, they have to think about how they would even manage this.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you
I
so
completely agree. Now let me come to Olivia. Your thoughts about Peter, Pakwesi, Trisha, and the entire interesting mix.
See, there's a reason why God didn't create Peter and Pakwesi. And it was Adam and Eve. Because the beauty of that creation is for procreation. There's a reason why God created man and woman to be together. Now, I have a big problem with the fact that he now has accepted that he's bisexual. He was minding his own business, best friends, we're getting together, bonding. It was a relationship beyond understanding. He's a guy, one thing led to the other. Oh, we can kiss. Oh, it's not as bad, yada, 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 yada. But it's interesting how he also describes the first time he met his wife. He didn't think that he was open to that kind of love. Because when you think about it, he didn't expect to feel like that. Or he didn't even think that he was prone to opening up to some like that kind of love. So he was like, okay, this is nice. I think it's a good thing. I think this is what society deems of me. Why not, like, why shouldn't I just go for it? Let's get married. I think I love you. I think I'm good to go. But you see, that's what happens when you don't take your time to disconnect, or because he's accepting it that he's bisexual, but he's officially put a stamp on the fact that he's not bisexual, but he's married. So he hasn't cut ties with Peter. So technically he's like, okay, I'm getting married, but I'm here or there. Because he doesn't know what's up, because he's feeling for both people. And therein lies the big problem. If you're serious about this, Masa, listen, once you're able to love your wife the way you say you do, once you're able to open up yourself for change, once you're able to open up yourself for that kind of love, it means that you can actually work on building something beautiful with your wife. But you cannot be successful because you constantly have Giza in your life. And Giza has the right, you are entertaining him in your matrimonial home.
And he has for 30
years. He's spanking your bum, and your wife came to see it. Like, at what point in time are you going to wake up and think, like, it's a headache even for married couples to know that their partners are cheating on them with the opposite sex. And now it's this. It reminds me of one of the stories that we did whereby this woman actually got pregnant. She married this guy, got pregnant, and came out. She left her keys or something at home. She came back home. She came home, and she came to meet her husband in the act with, I think, his brother.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. So are you waiting for your wife to get pregnant for her to be surprised by this act? Honestly, cut all ties with this guy. Decide what you want to do. As far as I'm concerned, you really need to pray on it. If it means that you ask God to deliver you, you really have to go on your knees, because you see, these things here, they are sex is not just sex, and I always say it. Sex is an emotional act. It's a bonding session. It ties souls together, and you are intimately tying your your bum with this other guy. And you know, research has found, and even from a spiritual point of view, this whole intimacy, gayism and all of that, you open up your soul to demons, all kinds of things I don't even want to get started on. And not only that, you are making your wife prone to STIs. Cut a long story short, Masa, listen, disconnect from your guy. Tell him that it can't work. Tell your wife that this is what it is. Let her decide what she wants to do, whether she wants you back or she doesn't want you back. At the end of the day, it's your fault, and you have to live with the consequences. Now, then you decide, now I want to be solely, I don't want to be gay anymore. This is the path I'm taking. I'm praying on it. I'm working on it, and I'm actually going to find myself a nice wife and make a family and live life the right way, because I have the ability to.
Absolutely. Preach it. Yes, ma'am. In 30 seconds.
Technically,
Yes.
the guy should be your ex. It's like living with your present and your ex.
That's true.
Yeah, so get him out of the picture, period.
And on that note, we're going to go for another quick break. Of course, to our texter that sent in, you heard the sisters. Time for you to confess, cut Peter loose, and then hopefully your wife just may stay. When we come back, we'll be going to another story. We are live from Orca Deco, and a lot more conversations coming up right after this. You're tuned in to Sister right here on City TV as well, live on City FM. We're live from Orca Deco. A very big thank you to the Ghana AIDS Commission and the Red Ribbon Campaign for supporting the show. Now we're going into our final story for this evening, and a very short and sweet one. My name is Asantewa and my husband's name is Kofi. I'm a very worried and confused wife. We're both good Christians and our families respect our values too as individuals. Kofi is a banker at one of the most prestigious banks in Ghana, and I'm a fashion designer. I'm very good at my job, and Kofi as well is. He's been a banker for about 6 years, but over the last 8 months, over the past 8 months, my husband hasn't been to the office, and anytime I ask about work, he responds by saying he's been asked to work from home since the pandemic hit. I used to believe that was the truth, but for some time now, I've been having this strong conviction there's something he's not telling me. Last Tuesday, after dropping the kids off at school, I decided to go and buy groceries. I bumped into my husband's colleague. He was very happy to see me and immediately asked how Kofi was doing. How do you mean what he's doing? I had a surprised look on my face, and he said, oh, he was laid off due to COVID. What? What are you talking about, Berema? Are you asking about my husband Kofi or another person? He says, didn't you know he was laid off? I broke down in tears and I was mesmerized by the revelation. I started reflecting on how he would discourage me from making certain purchases or claiming that we don't need all of the things that I'm buying at the moment, and how I've been the only one paying the bills for the past 8 months and so much more. I'm very sorry about this. Berema told me after he had burst my bubble and told me what my husband had been doing for the last 8 months. How could Kofi do this to me, sisters? Why did he have to lie to me? I am livid. I feel used. I feel embarrassed, and I feel betrayed. Should I ask him or should I leave it? Please advise. Husband has been laid off, and for 8 months she had no idea. What should she do? I'll start with you, Mary Rose.
Yeah. Secret. I think that she should just go ahead and find out, because this has to do with their financial life, the economic sustainability in the marriage. And so she has to find out that she heard about this, she met this person, she spoke to him, and the person told her the fact that he had been laid off. So what's up?
So confrontation is the first thing to do.
The word confrontation is really strong, but
just
talk about it.
Have a conversation.
Yes, have a conversation about it. You have to find a good time and have a conversation. Tell him that I've heard this. Is it true or not? And if it is true, what is the way forward? Why has he kept it from you? And then if he explains to you, I think you would have to demand an apology, because he doesn't have to keep it from you. It's both of you. If it happens to him, it happens to everybody in the marriage. So if he's keeping it away from you, how long was he going to keep it away? And how was he going to remediate those situations? So I think he has to, she has to make sure that she, work this thing and get some information and work it out. I mean, it's not a question of leaving this relationship. It's a question of managing. Once again, it needs management on their financial life, secrecy. So there's something wrong somewhere. And of course, if you use this as an opportunity also to find out other things that he might have hidden without telling you.
Okay.
Yes.
Now let me go to Rosie. Your thoughts about this particular scenario and situation.
Well, basically, when a man is not able to financially provide for his family, it's tough on them. So I can understand why initially he was probably embarrassed to tell his wife. Number two, maybe he was afraid of his wife's reaction. So maybe he was hoping to probably learn something else quickly and be able to tell his wife that, oh, I've switched from my job to the other job, and it's taken 8 months. It's not happening. I think that this is the time you need to show him that you are the supportive wife. Sometimes you may have the right to react, But in certain situations, you need to rise above the right to react and address the situation head on and let him feel like, you know what, you're not any less of a man because you were laid off. Let's put our heads together. Let's see what we can do in this situation and then rise above the family. And in that process, most likely he would open up even beyond just leaving the office and other things, because then he'll be able to trust you with things that are going on in his life.
Okay.
So I think you need to let him know that you know, but be very tactful about how you handle it. Don't go in and want, you didn't tell me, you should have told me so for the past 8 months. No.
Supportive
So be
is the way to go.
supportive, be there, and as time goes on, you can be able to drop hints about how, you felt hurt and disappointed that he couldn't come forth with that information to you. You would have solved this problem probably a lot earlier than you're solving now. But nonetheless, this is the time to rise above your rights to react and be that supportive wife.
Okay, and finally, Olivia, in 30 seconds, your thoughts on this.
Oh dear. Just so you know that in life and in marriage, there are ups and downs. It's never a straight path. It's never cast in stone. Just know that there are challenges, and how you deal with challenges determine how far your marriage is going to go. If I were you, I would be understanding. I will go home, cook him his favorite meal, have a pretty good shag, and then afterwards look him in the eyes and tell him that I love him. I can understand that situations are not the way they're supposed to be, but I'm here for you. And let him know that this is what you found out, but you're also there for him. And this is not the time whereby you be like, oh, when are you going to hurry up to get a job? And you just need to be supportive. You need to pray together, stick together. And by the time you realize something good is going to come your way, just be there. Be there. It's going to change. It always passes. The storm always passes for the sun to come.
And
so
good times are coming. Just know it. But ladies, thank you so much for coming through. Olivia, Rosie, and of course Marie Rose. Always a pleasure having you lovely ladies on the couch. And thank you for watching. It's been another exciting edition of Sister right here on City TV, on DSTV channel 363 and Go TV channel 182. And of course live on City FM. Well, and thanking all our listeners who are tuned in live on radio at City 973. Now, I'll be back next week with another exciting edition right here on the show, and inviting you to stay with us and, of course, get interactive. Send in your messages, send in your thoughts, keep your tweets coming in, and if you have a issue that is on your mind and you want some clarity, do well to send it in, and you just might be on or the topic we might treat next week. Until I come your way again, keep watching City TV. My name is AJ Sapon. Enjoy your evening. And I hope you enjoyed our first edition and first maiden episode of Sister. It's a brand new season, but it's only right that I end with some thoughts of mine. So my final take is for our very first story about the Borga marriage. You went through a very tedious ordeal over the last 7 years, and I'm very happy you found it the strength to be able to walk out of this relationship. But just as you've been able to walk out of it, stay out. You seem to be still stuck on this whole scenario, and I know it's hard to say move on, but I think it's time you take steps towards doing that. So speak to a counselor, speak to a therapist, and find ways to work through your emotions and all that has gone over the last 7 years, and find a way to now look towards the future, possibly finding a different man that will love you as you deserve to be loved. And to our second story, the gentleman that has a bisexual relationship with his best friend that his wife may be suspecting. So the fact that you consider your wife the best thing to ever happen to you, the fact that you're willing to forsake all others, and in this particular case, Peter, your best friend, and focus completely on your wife and are so in love with her and willing to do anything for her, means that you found the love of your life. It's time for you to be honest to her. But as you're being honest to her, note that how she reacts to it is under no control of yours. She could be able to be forgiving and be willing to move past this in the marriage, or she could be willing to walk away. Note that is the consequence of lying to her and having another relationship on the side for all these years. But I hope that you're able to communicate to her exactly how you feel about her and able to move past this in your relationship and perhaps build a stronger and better marriage. But definitely, you have to You cannot have a relationship with him and also with your wife. Think of all the consequences, including diseases that you could be bringing to your wife, and choose the best option, which is staying with your wife. And for our particular gentleman who is unable to tell his wife the reality of their situation, that he's lost his job, the for better for worse aspect of the marriage vows is something that we say lightly, but we must take very seriously. So just as you are now entering a bit of the for worse part, you should be able to be honest to your wife, tell her exactly what's going on. And she might just be a bit more generous than you assume she might be. Yes, she feels very heartbroken, and I'm sure you do, my lady. You feel heartbroken that your husband has lied to you over the period of time, but perhaps because of how he perceives you might look at his new circumstances may have led to him deciding to be a bit more economical with the truth and not tell you the true reality on ground about your new financial status. So I hope you're able to be a bit more forgiving and as well able to listen to your husband, because this scenario or this situation that you're about to enter into where you're still unsure about your next line of action in terms of his employment is something that you need to be very tactful about how you deal with him. You need to be a bit more responsive to his needs. You need to be a bit more patient and above all very kind, because kindness is what he needs at this particular time. And I'm so happy you could tune into our very first edition of the new season of Sister Sister. My name is AJ Akwako Sarpong. A very big thank you to my sisters for joining me, and of course, our incredible sponsors, Kel Kids Toothpaste, and as well Ghana AIDS Commission Red Ribbon Campaign. A very big thank you to First Choice for my hair, and I'll be back next week. Keep watching City TV and keep listening to City FM.
My name is Gina, and this salon is where I work. Good morning to those who speak good English like I do. That's B, assistant madam, always cleaning boss.
Ifya, so can't you sweep the place? Do you know what I went through last night? I had to uninstall the whole of the night, but I managed to be here today.
That's